My name is Jordan Bayne. I started out as an actor and turned into a writer-director, and now I'm a creative technologist, still a filmmaker, but I'm a founder of The Squad and the originator of the Film 3 movement and new business model that's disrupting Hollywood. That film was sort of my proof of concept that at that time actors had not really grabbed a camera that often and made a film. And so I literally, I think, had a budget of $2,000. And so with that in mind, I wrote the screenplay. It's a two-hander. And then I asked a friend of mine to help me shoot it. And then I ended up giving him credit also as a director, and he edited, and that's a guy named Michael Knowles. But we went out to Joshua Tree and shot that. And I think probably the most wonderful memory that I have, aside from it being kind of magical out in Joshua Tree itself, was that when I was looking, and this was a non-paying, for the actors, it was, we weren't paying the actors. We didn't have the budget to do that. It was deferred payment under the Screen Actors Guild. And I auditioned 500 actors and I could not find one. And then a friend of mine said, hey, I have a friend named Jordana Spiro. I think she might be really right for this. And I was like, well, that would be amazing, because she'd already established herself on television. And she literally said, I love this. I'll come in and audition. Like, she was completely willing to do that. And she came in and she knocked it out of the park. And she was amazing. She was amazing to work with. And so my first foray as a director was a really wonderful experience. Well, I was an actor who felt that they were not writing at that time complex enough characters for women, and women are very complex. I mean, we are fully human, and we're far more than just sort of a side piece on some dude's arm. And that was a lot of the things that I was getting as a young actor, were these very just sort of throwaway roles. And so I originally wrote it for myself, but because I wanted to see more complex characters, I wanted to inhabit them, I wanted to tell those stories. And then when the time came, because I'm a really big believer in the art of story, and that, everything should be working to make sure that the story is told. So from the cinematography to composing whatever score that you might use, and the actors. And I realized that I didn't want to try to learn to direct and be in front of the camera at the same time. And so that is why I end up being so fortunate to have Jordana Spiro. It was really cool. You guys were a really young festival at the time, and it was also really nice. I'm deeply involved in sort of like Europe in a lot of ways. So to have been invited at that time, I think that was the first European festival that I was invited to. And so it was very exciting. I didn't get to come, which was a big bummer. We didn't have that in the budget. But every once in a while, you guys, kind of reach out and want to hear from us, and it's super nice. And I'm very happy to see you guys thriving, as a festival. I really appreciate you guys circling back and checking on me, and I hope that one of these days I'll be able to attend the festival. We'll see. So basically, after Argo, I did another short film called The Sea Is All I Know. And The Sea Is All I Know traveled the world, was at the top festivals, won a ton of awards and a lot of critical acclaim, and it was an Oscar contender. And everyone tells you that if that's the way you get sort of the golden ticket into Hollywood in your feature films. But I discovered that actually that's not true. That's mostly true for cisgendered white men. And so, I mean, and I'm not telling anyone anything I don't talk about every single day. So, because of that, and because I had feature films, and I could not seem to break down the barriers and get past the gatekeepers, those pain points from basically 2013 until the pandemic, till I can't remember exactly, I think it was 2021. No, it was December 2020 actually when the idea hit me. But I had been involved in crypto since 2015, and when the whole NFT kind of thing came, in 2021, got a big push on the art side, I realized that this would be really revolutionary for filmmakers, that Web3 would be revolutionary for filmmakers. So I started the squad and originated what at the time was a mission and a movement to create a better future for filmmakers, to create a more democratized system where underrepresented communities and filmmakers could see their voices, have their voices heard, have their voices on screen, whether that's LGBTQIA or Black or Asian or any filmmaker that may come from a marginalized community. And so the power of Web3 is, and certainly Film 3, which is now a business model. I have basically, for the last 3.5 years, articulated this business model. I have spoken about it for the last 3 years at the Cannes Film Festival. I have been invited by the government in Italy. I just got back from Calabria, where I spoke to a bunch of the Italian producers and sales agents and distributors about this new business model. And the business model of Film 3 really covers financing through community, and community is the driver, it's the force behind it. So in other words, a community can finance your film if you have a community, and then that community has skin in the game, they care about it, you're giving them some ownership. Let's say if you use an NFT strategy, like Calladita. It's a film from a filmmaker out in Spain that we are literally premiering next week in Los Angeles, and has already done it's the first NFT funded film, and it's executive produced by Steven Soderbergh, and it is on the festival tour at the moment. And then it's the marketing and distribution side. So all of these things in place give you self-sovereignty, ownership of your own IP, which is really, really, really important. Because if you sell your IP to Netflix and they decide to deplatform your film, you have no recourse. Your film, you cannot show your film, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So it's a lot for me to pack into. I mean, I've spoken probably, I don't know, close to 100,000 hours on this. I also have a podcast, the Film 3 OG and the Next Wave of Cinema. You can find that wherever you listen to podcasts and find out more about what is disrupting Hollywood, literally, including AI. I have also a film festival, the Cannes Film 3 Festival, which is the only on-chain, on-demand virtual film festival in the world. So I've been busy, and I'm making films. By the way, all this is just so I can make films, and so other people can also make films. My hero, Ava DuVernay, says, if your dream only includes you, it's not big enough. And that has been the motto for building out the Film 3. A lot of Web3 hangs out on Twitter, or whatever I call it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. So I'm there. I think it's just Jordan Bayne. The squad, the Film 3 squad, is also there. We're on Instagram. Still Jordan Bayne or the Film 3 squad. Cannes is also on Instagram. Oh, Cannes is also on Twitter. So we have all those channels where you can tap in. We have a Discord where the community gathers. We're doing a lot of fun things because the next iteration of what I'm doing is taking a piece of IP and actually making that the platform that proves the Film 3 model from financing through distribution. And so it'll be a community engaged thing. And then my podcast is on Spotify, Apple, I think aggregated to a lot of different podcast platforms. So you can pretty much find me anywhere if you just Google me, I think. Look, I think the data is showing us, and I've learned this, by the way, from a lot of business people. I really was just an artist brain until the last 3 years. But my desire to tell stories has put me in this direction. And so I think that if you really desire to get your stories told, you have to look at where your audience is. And your audience is on TikTok. Your audience is on where they can be engaged, where they can co-create. I think that what we're seeing is people don't want to consume the entertainment as much as they want to be a part of it. And so that is the thing. That's the difference between Web 1, which was basically emails, Web 2, which was social media, where they took our art and they made money off of our backs with our memes. And Web 3 is considered the creator economy, where we co-create together. So if you're a filmmaker, what does that mean? Well, I'm one of the first people that actually put a film on the blockchain in January 2022. A little 3-minute motion picture. It's out there. You can also Google that, called Red Flags. So you can do things like that. But the most important thing I would say to anyone is, and you can go listen to this on my podcast, is basically understanding the Taylor Swift effect. Taylor Swift is the proof of concept for Film 3. That's the name of the podcast that I did. And the reason is because she doesn't see her audience. So if you're a filmmaker, you're going to have an audience. You cannot look at them as your audience. You have to look at them as your community, and you have to see them not as fans, but your family. And I think, I truly, truly believe that her power lies in making the people that are Swifties feel like they belong someplace, and that they are valued and they are seen. And that is how you build community. And then if the community believes in you, they will buy the tickets, and then they will buy your film, because they also want that, because they really believe in your voice. And if you scale that all the way down to you as a brand new filmmaker, really, really value and nurture your community, because they're going to be the ones, I think, that you're going to be saying, hey, I need to finance this. Can you help me finance or fund this film? Whether you do it through digital collectibles, another word for NFTs, or whether you do it through a traditional crowdfunding platform, or whatever, but take them along the journey with you. And that is truly the heart of Film 3.